everyone. I'm Scott Douglas. Welcome to TuffTrax. 1 year ago today, David Morris, then a rookie, drove the Equalizer in this wild flip at Richmond, Virginia. Today, another rookie takes the Equalizer through its paces at the same course. Stay tuned. Richmond, Virginia, getting ready for another invasion from the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And you're going to enjoy all the scintillating action right here on TuffTrax from Richmond International Raceway, one of the great speedways in all of the United States. And it hosts the greatest names in monster truck racing this time around. You see USA 1 getting ready to go into action. But as we get ready, the story has to be the return of the Gravedigger to championship form. Army Armstrong is with Dennis Anderson.
Well, thanks, Scott. We're standing with the man of the hour in Richmond, Virginia. Last week's winner, Dennis Anderson. And Dennis, last week you looked like the Dennis Anderson Gravedigger of old.
Yeah, we came out and, I drove a little different style. It was a pretty good course for me, except the course was a little narrow. We had those walls to worry about, but I laid down some good straight passes, and that's what it took to win.
Let's talk about those walls. The walls at this track, the only track where you run where it's such confined walls. Okay, you only got like 5 or 6 feet outside of the cars. That intimidates a lot of the drivers. However, you, who are known as one of the most wild drivers in the sport, didn't seem to bother at all. You went straight as an arrow.
Yeah, well, I tried a few things in qualifying, and it worked pretty much. So I just, I raced the rest of the night like that, and it worked for me. And the past 2 years here, every year I jumped this wall, and the wall will do some damage to the truck. And I wanted to go away as a winner and stay off that wall.
Well, in a few minutes, we're going to see if Dennis Anderson, the Gravedigger, can make it 2 in a row from his hometown, Richmond, Virginia. Now let's check with Chris Chapman and see what else we're going to be seeing today.
Thanks, Army. Coming up later here on TuffTrax, we're going to take a look at the first outdoor pull of the season on the TNT All-American Pulling Series. Tommy Holman and the Saturday Night Driller will try and defend their modified 4-wheel drive class on the TNT All-American Pulling Series. They were the 1989 champs, and we're going to see if he can repeat that performance at the Augusta Expo Land in beautiful Fishersville, Virginia, which, by the way, is about 75 miles from Richmond, Virginia, where we are right now.
We are really looking forward to the first pull of the season, point pull that is, on the TNT All-American Pulling Series for 1990. Well, back at Richmond, ready to get going here with the side-by-side racing. Before we do, one more qualifier, and it'll be last week's winner, Army Armstrong. The Gravedigger needs to beat 7 seconds flat to beat fast qualifier. The Equalizer currently has the fast time as we're picking it up with the final qualifying run of the day. It's the Digger.
Anderson came out, you noticed a moment ago, he was cinching himself up for a real strong run. We've got a problem down here, and Anderson's trying to bring it back.
Holds on to it.
Those walls, I tell you. He says he's not afraid of them, but I guarantee you he is definitely aware they exist, Scott.
Dennis Anderson has got a problem. Mike Speller, the TNT official outside the truck, was pointing to him. It appears a drive shaft problem for the Gravedigger, as Dennis Anderson, and now we get the time, actually records the fast time of the day, but you see parts flying from underneath, and a drive shaft is going to really put him in trouble.
He has rear-wheel drive only. I believe he's going to come back for elimination, but the replay show you the front end took such a beating. But look at the driver. He's taking a tremendous amount of abuse up there. That's a tough break for Anderson.
So the time for Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger is the fast qualifying time at 6.79, but that's probably the fastest he'll go tonight as he busts the drive shaft on the run. So the old jinx seems to be back with the Gravedigger after his great win a week ago on TuffTrax. TuffTrax is brought to you by Nintendo, makers of the Nintendo Entertainment System and the world's largest and most exciting library of great games. Nintendo, now you're playing with power. Scott Douglas, Army Armstrong, and Chris Chapman back with you at Richmond International Raceway on TuffTrax with the superstars on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Our side-by-side eliminations will go this way. Gravedigger takes on Nightlife. Then it'll be King Krunch and Thunder Chicken. The Crusher meets Bigfoot. That'll be an awesome showdown. Outlaw comes out against Wild Hair, another Ford and Chevy matchup. Then the bottom of the bracket show Equalizer going up against USA 1 as two big bad Chevrolets will go head up. Last week, Gravedigger won it all here on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge in Richmond. But today, we don't expect him to go all the way because a broken drive shaft will have him racing in two-wheel drive only against a very strong truck, Dave Weiczork's Nightlife Chevrolet.
Scott, the broken drive shaft creates a unique problem for Anderson. A dangerous situation arises because if he really goes after it like he's normally in his driving style, does not have the front wheels to pull the truck out of trouble, he's going to be in a whole lot of problems. Anderson's using his head wide. Weiczorek is going to the next round. And I know Dennis Anderson's got to be a little bit sick. This is about as close as we get to his hometown, but that was a driver's smart run.
Dennis Anderson doing all he could do and getting some valuable points by coming out to make the run, but obviously not able to give a serious challenge to Dave Weiczork's Nightlife Chevrolet. So Weiczorek will move into the quarterfinal round, and Anderson is probably done unless he can come back in one of the fast loser opportunities that will present itself in the next round. One more look at it as Dennis Anderson on the left-hand side of your screen, never able to really challenge the Nightlife run. Let's go to Chris Chapman.
It's probably a little disappointing after such a great performance last week here in Richmond.
Yeah, I am. You know, we ran real hard last week and won in the finals and didn't have any problems with the truck. We knocked one tire off the rim, but that wasn't any big deal. We got it repaired and we were ready to go. And this week, you know, I come out and qualify. I had the fastest qualifying time, twisted the front shaft. We couldn't get a shaft back in it in time before I had to run the next round, and I come off the line and I got a little crossed up and I just couldn't do anything with it.
Considering running in two-wheel drive, is that about what you expected to do?
Yeah, I expected to do a little bit better than that, but I really didn't want to run the truck too hard because if I'd come down on a nosedive, you can get in some serious trouble without a front drive shaft.
Well, maybe we'll see you as a fast loser.
All right, good deal.
The Thunder Chicken will be next up. Interesting story here as it is about a fourth or a fifth of the time right now, and that is a lady's driving it. Karen Pensyl, who spent a moment with Chris Chapman just a little bit ago.
Karen took it pretty easy out there on your qualifying run.
Yeah, I did. I'm not real sure myself quite yet, but I think I'll get faster and faster every run.
How'd it feel?
It's an eerie feeling. I can't really explain it. The truck is so awesome, and the power behind it, it's hard to explain.
Is it pretty shaky out there?
I know I'm pretty shaky.
Let's see if she can handle one of the top runners in the sport today, Scott Stevens in the Auto Value King Krunch out of Woodlands, Texas.
Scott, I'm going to tell you that chivalry is not a part of this monster truck game. You can bet Scott Stevens is going to try to hammer this young lady real quick, put her out of the competition. First set of cars, she's staying pretty close. Now Stevens goes after her real quick. Mile an hour on the other end. Folks, the horsepower to work for the Auto Value GMC. So Stevens is coming back, and she's a lot wiser than she was a moment ago.
Yeah, Scott Stevens, never one to hide his feelings, has made no bones about saying that he doesn't think Karen Pensyl's proven herself yet to be running here, and he wanted to put her away, and he has done just that. Easy win for Scott Stevens in the Auto Value King Krunch, or what's left of the Auto Value King Krunch. Wow.
Yeah, your terminology of easy win and looking at that truck makes you realize how tough these guys really go at each other. By the way, who's coming out next, Scott?
Carolina Crusher, the big Chevrolet of Gary Porter from Wadesboro, North Carolina, meets the big bad Ford from St. Louis, John Piant, and Bigfoot number 4 with that new acclaimed sponsorship lining up to the start line. Now, Ford and Chevy, always a big rivalry, but you got two near the head of the class. Near the head of the Ford class is always out of Bob Chandler's Bigfoot stable, the Bigfoot number 4 truck, and near the head of the class in the Chevrolet bunch, the Carolina Crusher, runner-up for the world title a year ago.
Well, Chandler has unique ability to pick young up-and-coming drivers. Piant driving the truck now was a two-time top amateur BMX bicycle rider. He's a professional, or he was a professional when he was 12 years old. Right now, he's got his hands full of big bad Chevrolet. Can Piant pull it back? No. Chevrolet goes to the next round. The only hope the blue Ford has is that he was a quick loser, Scott.
And he may well have been a pretty good run, but Gary Porter, the veteran from Wadesboro, North Carolina, takes the victory in the Carolina Crusher. On the left-hand side of your screen, pretty stable run for him, while Bigfoot almost got sideways off that first set. It cost him some time. Right now, Gary Porter is out of his truck. He's working his way over to talk with Army.
Gary, you go to the finals by winning one race at a time, and you just took a big bullet out of this one.
It was. I think that was a good start there. You know, he's one of the biggest competitors out here and, you know, one of the best. And knocking him off early, you know, really, you know, boosted me up some because I need a win.
Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, will get ready for the quarterfinals now. And Bigfoot may very well be back because he had a solid run. And 3 fast losers will come back into the next round. But Porter looks good tonight, and that Crusher Chevrolet rolling on. Here's the points coming into today's action. And you can see it cannot get any closer. Equalizer by 1 point over Bigfoot. Then Krunch and Crusher coming on. Awesome Kong still in the top 5. USA 1 in the number 6 hole. We'll see him a little later. Grave Digger 7. Nightlife, Outlaw, and Buffalo Tremor rounding out the top 10. More side-by-side action coming up next on TuffTrax. The wild, wild, wild hair Chevrolet out of Arnold, Missouri. Starvin' Marvin Smith gets ready to take on one of his arch nemesis from the Ford camp, the Outlaw-Mike Wine from Pensyl, New Jersey, as first round action continues from Richmond, Virginia.
Well, Scott, if you were keeping score with the Ford and Chevrolet battle, since Bigfoot went out in the previous round, Chevrolet scored 1 big point. Let's see if Marvin can put 2 notches in the gun for the Chevrolet camp right now. He does have his work cut out for him. Keep an eye on the Outlaw. Outlaw's out over the first jump. Oh, this kid is impressive. Makes a little bit of a problem. I don't know, something happened. Boy, those guys are all over that track, but something did happen to the Outlaw, Scott. You have any idea what it was?
Mike Wine may have broken the rear drive shaft is the word I'm getting up in the press box. Outlaw goes up and over, an easy win, but again, lots and lots of bouncing contact on the end of those cars apparently cost Mike Wine a drive shaft. Wow, what a bad, bad break for him. And here you get it. There you see it. It's just kind of flopping around underneath the truck. And big, big problems there. Equalizer getting ready to do battle with USA 1. A little bit earlier, Army was able to talk to Greg Holbrook, the current driver of Equalizer, about last year's flip by David Morris in the Equalizer.
Greg, last year the Equalizer flipped in Richmond, Virginia. A different driver. You were not in the truck at that time, but does the fact that it flipped here affect you mentally before you get into the truck?
No, I mean, that's another driver, and this is another year, and you can't think about things like that. You got to block the wall out and start flipping.
Well, you got to look at it. It was one of the rougher-looking, nastier spills we saw last year. David Morris, as you can see, came out of it very quickly and was okay. Greg Holbrook now in a different paint job, but it is still the Equalizer. The new driver ready to go against Steve Wilke and USA 1.
Greg Holbrook will not be intimidated by this truck. He's going to make Wilke work for it. Now Wilke's in trouble. Wilke's in big-time trouble. He goes over.
He has sheared the axle, and both front wheels are gone from the USA 1 Chevrolet.
A little bit of a fire starting on the truck, it looks like now. The crew's going over. I believe Wilke's up 1 year to the day, an exact 180-degree happening.
That's right, because it was USA 1 racing Equalizer last year when Morris flipped. This time when they meet, it's Wilke and USA 1 ending up on his roof. Mike Wine in the black driving suit there among those trying to make sure Steve Wilke is okay down on the track.
We appreciate the Lakeside Rescue Squad for coming out right on the spot. You know, safety is something we're all pumped up over. The crowd can see him moving around, so he's going to be all right. But that, you know, people who ever doubt that this is a competitive motorsport, look at this. It doesn't get any tougher than this guy.
Steve Wilke now trying to get out, as it were, as Mike Wine is taking his helmet out. Steve is talking to Mike Speller and the TNT people and the safety crews there, so obviously he's okay. They're just trying to get him out of the truck at this point.
Yeah, he rung his bell, though. You can tell he's a little bit slow. They're going to check him out. We'll get to him as soon as we can, Scott.
Wilke is coming up on top of the truck, and we'll let everybody see that he's okay to the roars of the crowd at Richmond International Raceway. And now he is looking at a complete wreck. Well, you talk about sticking a fork in a truck, it's done. That USA 1 Chevrolet has had it for tonight, and we don't know for how long. A lot of work coming up for that truck. Wilke right now just trying to get his senses about him and look over the damage to his truck, and I'm sure make sure he's okay. And, well, he's just jumped right in there to the wreck.
I was going to say he's going to work now, but he has to make that dreaded phone call we were talking about to the owner of the truck. One of these days, Scott, we're going to have to take a camera crew and follow him when he makes one of those calls. That could be a historic event in motorsport.
He's probably hoping it's the last time he has to make that call. John Piant of Bigfoot coming over to see if he's okay at this point, as it has been a rough ride for Steve Wilke and the USA 1 Chevrolet. Let's watch it again, Army. See if you can figure out what happened.
He goes up, everything's good, but he's kiting to the left. Okay, it's yawing to the left, and the left front wheel digs in right here and just physically pulls it out. Meanwhile, Holbrook is running hard trying to get away from him. You know something I noticed about Wilke, he still maintained his composure, talking to everybody and getting his sponsors' decals ready for the television interview.
Steve, we finally got a chance to talk to you. First off, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, Chris.
What in the world happened out there?
Well, I come out the first stack, and again, we have to run so hard to try and keep pace with 3-year-old equipment. I come out the first stack, and the rear end kicked up on me, and I was in the hammer driving the front end around, and I was crossed up going to the second stack, so I brought it around, and when I landed between the cars in the second stack, the front end let go and wrapped back underneath me.
What was going through your mind during all that?
Damn, I gotta go home and fix it.
Wilke's been there before, and so is another former USA 1 driver who is this week's crew chief, Rod Litzel. Army Armstrong has Rod right now.
Well, right now we're standing with a gentleman that was involved in the very first flip of the USA 1 truck, took it to a world championship, but hey, that truck almost seems like it's been spooked, Rod Litzel.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're pushing the truck over its limits right now. It's fatigued, and it's gone over 8 times now, and we keep putting it back together, but I think it's time we got to come out with a new truck. We just pushed this truck too hard, and times are changing, and the truck ain't designed to keep up right now, so we have to renew it.
Say there's a fatigue factor. Where do you think the fatigue factor might be? Let me bring something out. This looked almost identical to me to the flip that you took in Louisville, Kentucky when you won the championship. It looked like something in the front of the truck curled under. Is that what happened?
Well, it was basically the same thing, but what happened in Louisville is the studs, we were testing different studs out, and the studs let go. In this deal here, where the studs are bolted to, the weld from fatigue is what let go. The whole weld let go, causing it to twist, and then it took the rest of the bolts out, causing it at this speed. You know, probably if I was going that speed back there, it would have done the same thing, but, you know, I wasn't hitting that speed. When he was hitting this speed, twisted it, and then he rolled right over the front set of tires, causing it to be a bad roll.
The words from Rod Litzel in the aftermath of the USA 1 flip. Chris Chapman has caught up with Equalizer owner Gary Cook. Remember, his truck flipped here a year ago.
Gary, what we just saw happen to USA 1 happened to you in Equalizer last year. What was going through your mind?
Well, I was scared the driver was hurt. I saw something red come out the door there, and I was scared to death it was his arm or something else, but it wasn't, and he's okay. And it's the same panic or fear that you feel for anybody that you know real well when you see something like that happen. You're just hoping he's not hurt, like David wasn't last year, and he wasn't either, but it's the same fear of somebody you know and work with, you're scared they're hurt.
Did you talk to Greg about this particular track?
Well, he knows the story, and I told him about what happened here last year, you know, and I told him we'll go for it again, you know, that's just part of the game. You take your licks as they come.
You can see the entire front axle and wheel assembly being pulled up by that front end loader that is going to carry it off and help them get it put back together. USA 1 with yet another almost unbelievable flip here at Richmond, Virginia. The USA 1 saga continues, and you know what that leads us to? The Crunch of the Week.
Hold on to your seats for the amazing Crunch of the Week, brought to you by Micro Machines, the #1 colossally collectible vehicles in the world. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
Army Armstrong, how about taking what Rod Litzel basically told us and now translating to us watching it?
Well, what happened? The front suspension is a weak link in that particular truck. Not because it's really weak, it's just the fact that they run a stock Chevrolet frame that's reinforced, and you put those big old tires out there, you're slinging a lot of reciprocating weight. You cannot stop that kind of weight that quick without hurting something. The weight digs in. Watch the replay come up again. As soon as the left front wheel tags, then the whole front suspension comes around. Watch for the tag here. Now the whole front end goes away. That has to be one spooky ride, Scott.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, Greg Holbrook had to be a little bit spooked. As you can see him get over near the wall, he saw the USA 1 truck coming at him. One other thing, a good thing for Wilke, that the truck went ahead and went on to the end of the ramp. If he'd have crashed like that on top of the cars, things could have been much worse. Luckily, Wilke's okay. USA 1's not. Let's move down the road a piece to Fishersville, Virginia, the Augusta Expo land for TNT All-American Pulling Series competition here on TuffTrax. Again, Scott Douglas, Army Armstrong, and Chris Chapman as we get ready for modified four-wheel drive trucks. Army, a quick synopsis of the class.
Well, it's a 6,200-pound four-wheel drive vehicle. You talk about yourself, me, Chris, and Mother Nature's here, too, and she could be holding the trick hand on this. Tony Osteen comes out from Georgia. It's kind of a unique situation. The track is very wet. It's been raining for about 3 days here. Remember, these pulling vehicles have cleats. They can get the tires down into the dry, and the sled will have a tendency to go on top of the track. Look at this. Now, you wouldn't know that it was a muddy track because the four-wheel drive is planting all four tires into the surface. And Osteen comes out just like a normal drive.
That's the one to beat now because that was the test pull, and it serves as our first pull of the day. 273.83 for Tony Osteen, who is now with Army Armstrong.
Well, a track that can be termed as literally greasy out there, Osteen. It looks like you laid the best shot you possibly could.
Well, you never know. You just have to try a few things and see if anything will work. It's mighty slick. If somebody manages to grab a hold of it, they can make a pretty good pull, but it's going to be hard to grab it.
So the Georgia Rebel Ford is the one they're shooting at, and here comes Manuel Marino out of Seguin, Texas, in the yellow rose.
I want you to remember now, the four tires are digging in the track. You can see it. Where it's slippery for the sled, it's good biting for the truck. Marino comes down going after Osteen. Osteen in a Ford on top. Marino in a Chevrolet going after him. No, the Ford's going to stay on top of this thing.
Watch for the white line. That white chalk line is the distance they have to pull the sled past to get the lead, and the yellow rose didn't make it. 265.02 for the runner-up in points a year ago on the TNT All-American Pulling Series, Manuel Moreno. Here's another former national champion, one of the stars of the sport, Donnie Sanders out of Nashville in the Tennessee.
Yeah, but I was just noticing from the camera angle, in the background was Jim Lyons out of Louisville, Kentucky. He'll be coming out later. Everybody's got a spot and trying to figure out the starting line. Sanders ready to take his shot. Let's see what's going to happen now. Sanders runs probably one of the most powerful engines in the class. Okay, it's a Jerry Janke-built, Texas-based engine. We're going to find out right now if this is going to be a horsepower track or a driver's track, and I think the driver may have the nod on this one.
And let's see the distance for Donnie Sanders, the Tennessean. It's 282.21. That puts him into first place as he pulls past the previous leader, Tony Osteen, and the Georgia Rebel Ford. So Donnie Sanders, with that wild new lettering, looking good on that truck, got an outstanding pull. Army Armstrong's going to go over and talk to your new leader, Donnie.
Donnie, you made the move that a lot of guys were wondering if they should make, that being physically moving the sled to the middle of the track. You made the move, it worked for you, but everybody else is going to make the same move.
Well, I got a set of tracks they got to follow now. Is the only thing I can say about that. Truck seemed like it hooked good. I got to keep getting on it all the way down the track. I didn't see nothing wrong with my run. I thought it done about as good as it's going to.
Will the track hold horsepower now?
I still look for the end of the track, for the end of the class, for the track to get better. I don't know if it will or not, but if it does, it's going to be some trucks go off the hill here.
The word from your current leader, Donnie Sanders, out of Nashville. Now, Army mentioned Jim Lyons a moment ago. Here he is in stitches out of Louisville, Kentucky.
He spotted the sled all the way to the left. Well, keep looking in the background. I'll tell you the story. Look at the other drivers looking. Lyons comes out. It's a slippery track. Oh, I tell you what, Scott, it may be slippery on top, but that truck was getting some bite. He just broke the clutch. That's exactly what happened. He was getting so much bite on a track that looked slick, he broke the clutch.
Jim Lyons, very disappointed, and is going to have some work to do because Stitches, as Army pointed out, has mechanical problems. A broken clutch will sideline him with a pull he's not happy with. Getting ready to go to quarterfinal action. We'll have more pulling a little further down the road here on TuffTrax. But as the quarterfinals come up, here's the way we'll look at them. It'll be Nightlife coming out against the Auto Value King Krunch Special in our first quarterfinal matchup. Then we'll see Carolina Crusher coming back against the Thunder Chicken and Karen Pensyl, who was our third fastest loser. The Outlaw beat the Wild Hair. Outlaw will meet Wild Hair again. Wild Hair was the second fastest loser. Bigfoot turned out to be our fastest loser. The Ford comes back against Equalizer in a critical points battle. Welcome back to TuffTrax, the Major League of Monster Truck Racing, the TNT Monster Truck Challenge in Richmond, Virginia. Getting ready for the first quarterfinal matchup. It's the Auto Value King Krunch from Woodlands, Texas, and the Nightlife Chevrolet from Grand Island, Nebraska. There you see Scott Stevens. Dave Weiczorek drives that Nightlife truck, and earlier we asked him if these walls at Richmond intimidating.
They do. They'll tear a truck up. There's no doubt about that. You know, anytime you hit something like concrete, it's going to do some damage. But, you know, I just hope to keep my truck straight and do the best I can.
Maybe it bothers Dave a little more, Army, than others. He built that truck from the ground up, painted it, drives it, everything.
Yeah, well, he is the only man on his crew. He's the tow truck driver, the monster truck driver, and everything. He'll run you hard. Whoa! Matter of fact, so hard, almost gets into Stevens. When they go across the finish line, everybody's diving to the middle to stay away from those walls, Scott.
Scott Stevens and the Auto Value King Krunch getting the victory over Dave Weiczorek in Nightlife by just a bit. And then, as Army told you about, the fireworks at the end were caused by people wanting to stay away from the walls. Both drivers had that theory, and you see them both come to the middle at the end of the run.
One thing you have to remember around motorsports is concrete will suck a vehicle into it. Steel guardrails will bounce you back out. They do not want to get sucked into that concrete what they're trying to stay away from, Scott.
Boy, you can see Stevens saw the problem, really locked him up, and luckily for him, did not get up in the air. A lot of times you lock the brakes up on a monster truck. That's the first sign of going over. But here, Stevens able to keep it straight. Watch how far Weiczorek comes over to stay off that wall, however, as they got very, very close. Army Armstrong right now working his way over to Scott Stevens, who picks up the victory over the Nightlife Chevrolet.
Well, Scott, it doesn't come any easier the further you go in this field, does it?
Now, you know, Dave Weissorek's one of the toughest ones out there, and he's real consistent. And, you know, we knew that, you know, he was running a little quicker. We were just going to do our race, and I don't think it was a very quick race. Dave was off his pace quite a bit, but, you know, we heard a lot of parts last week, and we were just going to do something that we could live with, and how he got us through that round.
One of the things that everybody spooked earlier was two trucks touching wheels on this track. You all did touch wheels. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I really, you know, usually all night long I've been running her out pretty far to the end, and just lucky that time I didn't have no plan on running her to the end. If I'd been running her like I had the other two passes, you know, it might have put Dave on his top or something, because he had a lot of momentum, and I bumped him with my front end, and his back end came up pretty high, but I'd already shut off, because, you know, our truck's not 100%, and I wasn't going to run it that hard.
It may not be 100%, but it's enough of a percentage to get him into the semifinals. Right now, though, quarterfinal action, and Gary Porter's going to get an easy one over Karen Pensyl and Thunder Chicken. Carolina Crusher is looking good tonight.
Now, the Carolina Crusher, he's doing some work with his chassis, and he's taking some really weird bounces. He went into another wheelie when he came across the finish line there. Remember Louisville, Scott?
Absolutely, and he stayed up on that wheelie for a long time on the figure-8 course in Louisville. Here, just for a moment, he got it up on the back wheels. Watch him again, left-hand side of the screen, the Carolina Crusher, and here's what Army's talking about. Yep, up on those back wheels, and then he brings her down. Crusher gets the win, and Gary Porter's with Army Armstrong.
Gary, I believe that's a classic example in this sport what we're talking about. When you're in trouble, you got to gas and go to get out of trouble.
Yeah, I do. I line up, you know, in the first set of cars a little different than I had before. I'm trying to get that lane, you know, really down pat. Because hopefully, you know, I will end up in the finals and, you know, maybe I'll have lane choice and I can, you know, stay running in that lane.
The truck took a very weird bounce. It took a wheelie-type bounce. The last time we saw that bounce was a couple of weeks ago in Louisville, Kentucky. It presented some problems for you. Could there be a problem later on tonight here in Richmond?
It might be, but most of the time when it takes that bounce, you know, the truck stays straight. And last weekend when it done it, you know, I was in a turn and it made me hit the wall. But I think it'll be okay this weekend.
Here it is at Louisville, Kentucky, at Louisville Motor Speedway, the figure-8 course. Look at how long the Carolina Crusher stayed up there, and then as he brought it down, he was unable to get it turned before going in the wall. He won't have that problem here because it's just straight in front of him. He doesn't have to negotiate a turn. Our next matchup is Ford and Chevy again, a rematch. Outlaw easily won it over the Wild Hair first time around. They'll line up to do battle again. Now, if you'll remember, Outlaw busted a drive shaft early.
He broke a front drive shaft, and we've told you the story. In this sport, you almost have to have your front wheels to keep you out of trouble. Let's see how he attacked the track. Marvin Smith is trying to handle him with Wild Hair. What's going to happen? Wild Hair takes the Chevrolet in the next round. Outlaw, he will go on the trailer now.
The Chevrolet of starving Marvin Smith out of Arnold, Missouri gets the win over Mike Wine's Outlaw as Wild Hair has advanced to the semifinal round. And a little vengeance, but again, you got to keep your equipment together to advance round after round, and that's what happened to the Outlaw. Only in two-wheel drive, Wild Hair beats him by a full length.
We knew what the problem was. We have another spare drive shaft, but it's not worth throwing a $500 drive shaft in there to go out and you know it's going to tear it up again. We'll go home after this weekend, re-angle the front rear, put stops on it. We'll never drop back down again, and we'll have it. We'll have a winning combination then.
Good luck to you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Mike Wine with Chris Chapman in the pit talking about the problems of the drive shaft and not having a replacement in before he went in to the quarterfinal matchup. Well, the Equalizer putting his killer radio box in. That, of course, is the unit that is put in the trucks so that the TNT officials can kill an engine if a truck goes out of control. And Greg Holbrook will battle the man that is his arch nemesis as far as the TNT points go. Bigfoot and Equalizer have been running 1-2 virtually all year. This is a crucial showdown. Fairly early in Richmond.
What you're looking at here is something unique. I want you to think about it. Two of the youngest, yes, the youngest monster truck drivers in the sport are sitting on the starting line right now in a battle for the World Championship. So youth does have a spot in this sport.
John Piant and Bigfoot.
We got a race. We've got a race. Look at this.
It'll be Greg Holbrook's Equalizer getting the win.
Bigfoot in the wall, Scott.
As Bigfoot kicks a bunch of dust up from the wall. That's concrete dust, not dirt, is coming up. And the victory goes to Greg Holbrook and the Equalizer Chevrolet. Watch it again.
Boy, these kids are like two little bullies on the block. Neither one of them is going to give an inch. Holbrook comes out on him. Now, Piant's in trouble. The bounce right here is what gets him. He doesn't land on the cars, gets into the wall. Some good driving by both of these youngsters.
Piant gets it straightened up and does not go over the wall. That's where the big damage would have been done if he'd have topped that inside retaining wall or possibly even landed on it somewhat. You'll get a look here. The second set of cars, Equalizer much straighter over them, made the difference, and then Piant's problem at the end of the run. Equalizer getting a critical win, and so Bigfoot now actually has 2 losses today, even though he was able to make it into 2 rounds of competition. You get less points, of course, for a loss than a victory. And Equalizer distancing himself from Bigfoot in the World Championship points chase. More coming up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to TuffTrax. I'm Chris Chapman, along with Scott Douglas and Army Armstrong. Right now, let's go back to Fishersville, Virginia for the completion of the four-wheel drive competition. This is the first outdoor pull of the season, and it's all part of the 1990 TNT All-American Pulling Series.
When we left Fishersville a few moments ago, Donnie Sanders had taken the lead in Tennessee in that 282.21. The biggest bullet that he'll have to dodge is this one from the defending national champion, Tommy Holman's Saturday Night Driller.
Well, Elvis Presley used to have TCB taking care of business. Holman's got S&D, the Saturday Night Driller, new Chevrolet combination. A little bit late getting in. Whoa, now he's going after him, Scott.
It looks good. Can he get it to full length? It's not a full pull, but it is enough to beat Sanders. 285 and a half. The Saturday Night Driller, and Tommy Holman has taken the lead.
Hey, Tommy, everything seems to be new, but the position you're in is not new. You just went to the head of the field here. Everybody's going to be coming after you, but the new truck blues are no problem with this rascal. It's making some horsepower.
Well, we went to a littler motor, a little higher RPM, but we've been promising everybody we was going to do. And we come out of the hole a little soft. It hooked a little better than I really thought it was going to. It's a brand new clutch, and I just need to learn how to drive it a hair better. I feel I lost about 7 foot on what I should have had there.
So the defending national champ out of Wayne, Ohio is now the man to beat. This has been the hot hand indoors at the Astrodome in Atlanta, all these great places. Mr. Sparkle was the hot hand, but can he pull outside this year?
The reason he's been the hot hand, Scott, is he's been able to read the track. This is a whole new ball game here at 300 feet long. This kid out of Florida looks like he may have a handle on it. Sparkle Corporation Blue and White Chevrolet.
Not enough. 285 was the distance to beat, and Glenn Davis is almost a full 20 feet short at 266. And Army, Glenn's got to be disappointed, especially coming off the great indoor season he had.
Yeah, but you know, you got to take the bitter with the sweet. In any kind of motorsport, you take that chance. He can read a good sandy track. The moist track is giving him a problem. Now, speaking of problems, this guy here could be your worst nightmare. We understand he may be teaming up with the Saturday Night Driller. We'll keep you up to date on that. But Roger Crawford is a bad boy in this Ford, Scott.
He is the last one in the competition. So the only guy that can knock Tommy Holman off is Roger Crawford, the bandit. Here he comes. Doesn't look like he's got it going at all.
No, ground speed is not there. Holman, the Saturday Night Driller, going to hang on to win the first big outdoor event of the year, Scott.
So Tommy Holman, Saturday Night Driller, at 285.51, wins it.
Well, the hot-handed Fisherville, Virginia today went to the Saturday Night Driller. And Tommy, these guys were coming after you loaded for bear, but you just barely hung on to this thing, but that still counts.
Right, like I said, it was a brand new truck. I come out a little soft, run a little motor, only 621 cubic inch. That's all it took. We started out #1 last year. We finished #1. We're really going to try to do that again this year.
Picking it right up where he left off, the Driller beats the Tennessean and Donnie Sanders. The Ford, Georgia Rebel Ford, of Tony Osteen third, and Glenn Davis fourth. Manuel Moreno rounding out the top 5. When we come back, the semifinals of Monsters from Richmond. Like any other sport, when you can say you made it to the Final Four of a competition, it basically means you are in the hunt to win it all. And we have our Final Four of the Monsters at Richmond. King Krunch, the Auto Value Special, will race Carolina Crusher. And in the other half of the bracket sends Wild Hair up against the Equalizer. Army coming into the semifinal round. Certainly, Crusher and Equalizer appear headed on a collision course, but they've still got the win here in the semifinal.
Both drivers know what it's going to take to win. Both drivers are willing to do it. The walls are out of their mind right now. All they're thinking about is looking about 300 feet in front of them. Between where they are now and that 300 feet are 2 sets of car jumps. This could, if there was ever an even race, this could be it right here, Scott. Both of these guys are good.
The Krunch truck has been bruised and battered, and he gets a bad bounce.
Bad bounce cost Krunch. The Carolina Crusher moves on. They left together, but like you say, the chassis on Krunch cost him weird bounce.
We've talked about the consistency of Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher, and he has run very consistent all night on this track. It's been a big plus.
They both lead side by side. At this point, they're together. Now, the race is over for all intent and purposes. Scott takes a weird bounce. Porter, like you say, cool hand loop, just drives as straight as an arrow going into that next round.
Well, now Scott Stevens could go find some sheet metal to strap on that Auto Value King Krunch Special, but for Gary Porter, it's on to the Monster Smash Final, where he'll meet either Equalizer or Wild Hair.
Gary, it's final time, and you're going to be there. The truck looks better right now than I've seen in a couple of weeks.
It is. The truck seems to be handling real good. I think I got the course figured out. You know, it's been so long since I've been in the finals. I'm just glad to be here right now.
Do you have any preference as to who you're going to run? It'll either be Wild Hair or the Equalizer.
Well, Equalizer, he's really turning some fast times right now, and, you know, I think it'll be him in the finals, and he'll be a very tough competitor.
There you get a look at the Equalizer and Greg Holbrook getting ready to go. Wild Hair is getting into the lane next to him, and a little bit earlier we asked Marvin Smith about his ability to drive this Richmond track, a track that has become a very scary track.
This track here, I don't know if anybody has any advantage or not. I think it's more of us how you get the bounce. Yes, we have. We rebuilt the truck after Dallas. We broke it totally in half. It's almost like a brand new truck. I think it's definitely going to help in the future. I need to get used to it a little bit. We've changed the motor in it and changed the suspension and everything about the truck. It's like buying a new car. You know, the first time you get in it, you got to learn to drive it.
He's going to have to learn against the man sitting on top of the World Championship points, the Equalizer.
The yellow truck needs to be tight. The blue truck needs to be loose. I think what you're going to see from this angle is 2 loose trucks. Marvin Smith brought out an interesting point. They're trying to figure the chassis out on the yellow truck. Let's see how the bounces go. That's what I'm talking about. Equalizer stayed pat. That's the same truck he's been running all year long. Smith is trying to learn a new hot hand, and that sets up the final, Scott.
Indeed, where Equalizer will race Carolina Crusher, the top two in the World Championship points from a year ago, will go head-to-head to renew their rivalry in just a few moments. On the replay, watch the bounce right there. That seems to take it all out of the wild hair.
Yeah, like we say, the yellow truck needs to stay tight. He does not need the bounce of that truck to work. On the other side of the coin, the blue truck, the looser, the meaner he is.
There are two left. When we come back, Equalizer, Crusher, the Monster Smash Final. The Monster Smash Final coming up from Richmond. Equalizer and the Carolina Crusher. Army Armstrong. Equalizer's got to be the favorite.
Right now, he's got to be the favorite, but don't tell the Carolina Crusher that. What you're looking at right there, the blue truck, he's a new kid. He does not know fear. He's going up against the old wily veteran. If there's any angle that this kid can take to put the new kid away, believe me, the yellow truck is going to do it. Porter is going to go up his sleeve to find some kind of trick to get past that big blue Chevrolet.
Monster Smash time. Equalizer. Showtime.
The old pros hold him up. He's holding him up. God, he did it.
The consistent truck, the consistent running of Gary Porter has paid off again. The Carolina Crusher takes home the prize in Richmond, Virginia. Army, what happened to Equalizer?
The bounce, I don't know. The boy made a good run. Gary Porter was just destined to win this thing. This has been his night since it started, Scott.
Outstanding run pretty soon. Porter's going to be shelving that truck. It's going to be hard to put it away, though, if it keeps winning. There's your winner, Gary Porter. The Carolina Crusher is coming out to talk with our Army Armstrong.
Gary, in the winner's circle. Congratulations.
Thank you, Army. I swear it's been a long time since I've been in the winner's circle. You know, it just seemed like, you know, I just couldn't get it all together, you know, at a race, and it finally all came together here, you know, to take the win, and I'm proud of it.
The truck looked like it was going good, but this was just not an easy race to win for anybody, was it?
It's not. That wall, you know, being so close, everybody is so conscious of the wall, and you really have to be on your toes to drive this course.
Congratulations. We're awfully proud of you.
Okay, thank you.
Very big win for Gary Porter. Carolina Crusher certainly building a lot of confidence as he continues through the summer run on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. The points, though, benefit Equalizer from these 2 weeks of racing in Richmond, as Equalizer now has a 16-point lead over Bigfoot. King Krunch still very much a player for the World Championship, but now so is Carolina Crusher, who's coming on strong. USA 1 continues to struggle. Gravedigger up and down in Richmond. Nightlife, Outlaw, and Buffalo Trimmer holding on to their spots inside the top 10.
In any kind of motorsport, to be a rookie, you got a lot of pressure on you. This is exactly what happened, I believe. You were pushing that light a little bit, it kind of burped on you, backed on the pedal, and then went after him. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I was trying to just get the time of light just right, and it didn't work. I got on it too soon and had to let out of it.
Do you ever get excited about anything? You seem so calm and cool. Do you ever get excited about anything?
I get a little nervous sometimes before a race, but I try. It really don't bother me.
What about the national points chase now? As we're leaving Richmond, man, you're looking awfully good. You're looking a lot better than you did when you came in.
Yeah, 2 seconds got us way out ahead of foot. I believe it really helped us.
How about this Porter guy, though? He's starting to flex his muscle and come back on you guys. This top 5 is going to be a war before the year's over, isn't it?
Yeah, anything can happen from here. We could total the truck out or something and just fall completely out of it. You never know.
Greg Holbrook hoping those bad things don't happen to him, because really, even though he didn't get any wins, it was a profitable 2 weeks for him in Richmond, Virginia on TuffTrax, as he comes away with a workable points lead over Bigfoot. The winners in Richmond, Gravedigger a week ago, Carolina Crusher coming up with the victory here. But I'll tell you, when you sum it up 2 weeks in Richmond, you've got to remember the USA 1 flip and more work for Everett Jasper and the gang. What happens next week? You're going to have to tune in to find out here on TuffTrax.